Let's talk about the bundle of rights and break it down so that you not only remember it, but you understand what the heck it is. When you own property, we talk about this in other lessons. When you own real estate, you own the surface of the earth, all the way down to the center of the earth, all the way up to the heavens. You own the natural improvements like the trees and the man-made improvements like the houses and the sewers. But when you also own the bundle of rights, which is the intangible meaning the things you can't touch, when you add the bundle of rights, now instead of owning real estate, you own real property. So let's talk about what the bundle of rights are and what they come from, because there's a story behind it. In the olden days, when people used to transfer title to property, they did it symbolically by grabbing a bundle of sticks from the property and handing it to the new owner. And that bundle of sticks represents these 5 intangible rights. And remember, intangible means something you can't touch. 5 intangible rights. And the reason we use sticks to represent them is because they can be separated. So let's talk about what they are, and then we'll explain how you can separate them. The first one is the right of possession. Possession means you get to occupy the property. You can give that one away or rent it out if you rent out your property. That is basically the one that we're handing off to a tenant, and then we get it back once that lease ends. So possession is the right to use your property. Control is the right to control, to do anything you want with the property within the framework of the law. The next one is exclusion, and exclusion means you can stop people from coming into your property, not just standing at the door and saying, no, you can't come in, but stopping people from coming in and taking your property. And we all know that one intuitively. We're like, duh, we own the house, you can't just come and take the house. But the reason why they can't just come and take the house is because in the bundle of rights, we have this right of exclusion. That's one of the sticks. The next one is the right of enjoyment. And enjoyment means you get to use the property without interference. Now, obviously, these are all in a legal manner. And when we talk about enjoyment, when we discuss leases, we talk about the covenant of quiet enjoyment, because when a landlord rents out their property, the tenant gets what's called the covenant of quiet enjoyment, because the landlord is giving that stick temporarily to the tenant to be able to enjoy the property. So that covenant of quiet enjoyment is the promise or the protection to the tenant that they get to use and enjoy the property. And the last stick is called the right of disposition. And this one is my favorite one. Not that you care, but I love the right of disposition because it's really cool. If you think of the word disposition, buried inside of that word is the word dispose. So when we think of the right of disposition, it means we have the right to dispose of the property. We can dispose of the property in numerous ways. We could sell it, we could give it away, but a really cool way that we can use the right of disposition is to mortgage our property. Because we have the right of disposition, that's what allows us to be able to have a lender place a lien against our property, to give a mortgage to the lender so that we can borrow money to purchase the property. So we have the rights of control, possession, enjoyment, exclusion, and disposition. And remember, all 5 of these sticks can be separated. We can sell them off separately, we can rent them off separately, and we'll talk about them in leases in other videos. We'll talk about them in life estates in other videos. But these 5 sticks in the bundle of rights come from the old-timey way of transferring title ceremoniously by handing over a pile of sticks from a tree on the property to signify passing of ownership rights. This is one of those terms that if you understand it and you practice it to the point of memorization, you will nail it for the test. And if you need more structured help, you can just grab my study pack. It has electronic flashcards, practice tests, audio files, videos, and we're always adding to it. I know these words can be tricky, but you're here, you're learning, you're practicing, and I know you've got this. Stick with it, and I'll see you in the next video.